Sweet.
Sweet. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Delve In Talk Show. I'm one of your hosts, Loren Malloy.
And I'm Jess Polito.
And we have a very special guest tonight. We have Tim Conwell. Tim, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Now, before we start, I have to go into my usual stuff that everybody knows I say. You need to make sure you please like the page, follow it, and then please share it everywhere, because if you comment on the Delve In Talk Show page, we get to see your comments right while it's live, and then I can put your comment up on the screen. So feel free to comment and say hi, let me know where you're from, how you're doing. That way we can have you part of the conversation. You can delve in with us. But Tim, why don't we jump right into...
I'm so excited. I can't take it.
Jess has been so excited, and I've known you for a year or two now, at least now.
At least something like that, yeah, before the pandemic kicked in.
Yeah, so you know what? It's been like 3 or 4 years, I feel like now.
Yeah.
Why don't you just tell everybody what you're about, because I cannot do it justice. So
you can't do justice. Well, I think you can some way. Well, I'm a paranormal investigator, and I've been doing this for I don't know how many years, probably almost 10. So I've been to weird places, from rolling hills to Hinsdale House, the Virgin House, a few other places, gone to Pennsylvania, and just finding some stuff that what's out there. I mean, I'm just not one of those people that want to get famous, but I'm just trying to get my point across and see what's there for me, because I'm an empath and a sensitive on top of that. So
yes, you are.
It's like, just trying to find that information, what's talking to me, and maybe help people guide things through themselves. And behind me I got Ouija boards, which I don't touch. I've had some weird experiences, but they're just there for decoration.
Now, something happened with you and your dad as well. Is that correct? That's one of the topics you and I have previously talked about, right?
Yeah, and also too is my father's ufologist. I'll tell you that. He's had the research.
How excited she got, by the way? Can we just take a moment to show how excited she got about that?
I'm stuck.
Is a ufologist. So go ahead. It needed to have a moment of appreciation.
You want to bow now too?
Yes, I am not worthy.
I mean, he's done the research. He's done everything, compared to that. I give him so many props, because that man, the way he thinks, I can't even get to. I'm the dyslexic one, so I try to fight with my words, and you can tell how I stutter and whatever. But the way how he writes, huh?
I'm dyslexic too, so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's all
right.
Go ahead.
How he dove into this information and just kept going with it is just extremely phenomenal. Wow.
It's a new word, phenomenal. I like it. I'm gonna use it, yo. I'm using it. Phenomenal.
There you go. I mean, he's done a map through the whole United States. From was it 2011, 2016, all over the country, and it's just swamped with sightings. And to my knowledge, from him, helping me with my being dyslexic and getting me through school, and with all the combinations that we've done, from speaking, for motivation, helping teachers and all that, I turned around and looked at him. I'm like, he's got this. I understand his information to a certain point, but I'm going to knock, hit it up a little bit a notch. I want to get his information out his own way. He thinks that in some ways that paranormal and UFOs are a little bit different, but he's seeing the sign now where I'm thinking of what it really is, because there are some, combinations coming in, which is odd when their sightings are happening. And when people are investigating, they're not seeing that correlation, but it's happening.
Yes.
If people don't pay attention, by looking up, and between me and him, we both saw something driving, and it's something unexplained. It's not paranormal. Why is it in the sky at that moment? Is
I
it
did too.
for us to look at it, or was it for, him or other people should be looking at it, but not everybody else? So it's just it's overwhelming. But I mean, I want to help him to get his word out too. That's who I want to help him, because he helped me when I was a kid.
That's right.
It's holding that hand in a nutshell.
And you're not alone. There's lots of us that have seen stuff. I was living in Florida and I saw triangle-shaped black hovering whatever they were, and the woman I was renting from literally didn't want to believe me, told me I must have been drunk. I was like, I don't drive drunk, and I was driving. Literally the next morning on the radio, there was the announcer was talking about how many people called in all at the same time, all seeing these things, and it was literally causing like frequency issues. So, that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show, because you have a whole paranormal side. You have all of that, plus you also have this sighting and experience that some others don't, plus you can use all of what you've lived through to give your point of view, and that's what I love about you, so whatever you want to tell us, that's what we want to know, you know what I mean?
So we had a guest on that kind of like mashed spirituality and UFOs and aliens together, and I kind of love that idea, because if you break it down scientifically and it being multidimensional and parallel universes and things of that nature, and so I feel like it's like a hand-in-hand thing. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did.
My phone,
That was
sorry.
really weird.
I was trying to share the
What was that? Did
That
somebody?
it was my phone.
He turned it on to share it, but he heard it reverberated your voice through the second video.
I was like, what's going on? No.
Where it goes. Sorry.
Right,
No.
no.
It was all the Ouija boards talking to you. so-
Right?
Exactly.
So
As
I
the
thought,
pendulum, sitting there going, no, we're not moving yet.
uh-oh. So do you think that is where you're trying to put your experiences and together with your father's experiences? How do you feel about like, for instance,
Reverend Jen.
Reverend Jen was saying that like the archangels are actually aliens, like they're extraterrestrials.
Everybody has his own theories.
I loved that theory. I just thought it was such a new and fresh idea. But what do you think? What do you think?
Well, I mean, when you have an archangel come in and say it's an alien,
I don't think she's okay.
Is there description about it? If you gone into the Bible and then go to another Bible and go into another Bible, it's going to have a full different description of everything.
Right.
So you just don't know of what it really is.
Right. And I think what she was meaning was more like that the fact that they originated from somewhere other than like a extraterrestrial that came down and brought information, and we put the wrong label on, or we were taught to call them angels, even though they still have all those abilities, I think is where she was trying to come from, which is the only thing I want to clarify in the case. So that, I think, is where Jess was also asking you, not that she thought one angel was a UFO, but more, you know what I mean? But more that, all the different types of deities and etc. that we take as deities and gods and angels and are really alien ancient races that maybe came down during Neanderthal times, and that's why there's like caves, or like there's a lot of people that have been trying to talk about where any of this stuff originated from, because like if cave paintings have drawings of like I'm going to say mythical creatures, because
or even the Egyptian
stuff, right? Exactly.
I mean, you just don't know. I mean, that's the problem. I mean, we only can go by what's the writing or what's the drawings are, to compare to maybe 30,000 years later, where someone says, "Oh, this is what this picture says." But I don't want to bash archaeology, but it's like, is it really saying that? Or is it maybe your interpretation?
Right.
It's the same thing like, paranormal. It's one says this, the other one says this, and then there might be an argument between each other because you just don't know. But if you have a group of people saying this picture means this, okay, you know.
Right. Well, that's like the Annabelle doll. You are in the
UFOs.
Say the last line again, Tim.
It's the same thing like UFOs. Everybody has, you know, different directions of thinking, processing. I mean, the people I've met over the, you know, the last couple of years going out with my father, doing these conventions in different locations, everybody has their own theories. You know, and what kills me is that they try to mark it off because of these theories. Right. And it's just, and I just look at it and go, where's the research? Because I remember I was with my father at a location, and I don't want to say it, but, you know, whatever it is. And this person was talking, and I looked at him and I went, and she's famous? He looked and he goes, she wrote a book. And I went, that's it? And I'm going, what else?
So I feel like a lot of people take this information because they are either sense it or feel like they have been told from a higher being that this is the way it is. And so I was just wondering, based on like your experiences, because everybody, I mean, anybody, I feel like anybody like me likes to be like, you know, likes to pull these issues apart and examine them, and then whatever your thought process is and what feels most comfortable to you or what makes more sense to you, you kind of put together in your head, because there really isn't, you know, scientific proof about any of this. So I was just kind of trying to figure out where your head was at as far as with the lay of
the way I look at it is I throw my hands up in the air, because I mean, if you watch a lot of the UFO shows, one person says this, another person says this, another person says this, and another person, and I'm listening to these, you know, directions. And there's times that I'll be sitting, you know, with my father and, you know, watching these shows, and I would look at him and going, what about this, 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 this? He's like, well, good point. Okay, well, why didn't he say it? And I'm thinking, well, okay, he probably wasn't thinking because he wants to say, this is what I think. So,
or he knows he has to leave it out because otherwise it blows up his point, right?
Well, true. So, and, you know, it might be, you know, want to leave it open-ended.
Yeah.
And let them, you know, let other people make their own decision. So it's.
So can I ask what you actually saw? Is that allowed? Like, we kind of stated. Okay.
Well,
so
I have no men in black, you know, knocking on my door. If they do, I want to take a picture inside.
They're coming tonight. No.
I had them, I think, but I kind of had. Maybe there was a flash of light, and then they looked at stars and thought they were pretty. Get it? Sorry, I couldn't help myself. All right, go ahead. My bad.
So tell us the story.
Okay. Well, I was driving to go to work, and it's a 40-minute drive. So I'm on the throughway, you know, driving along, and I'm right in the middle of 3 lanes. And for some reason, as I'm looking in the distance, and I'm like, okay, it's on the far left, but I'm like, what is this? This is just odd in the sky. So as I'm keep driving, something is telling me, keep watching this. This is something you need to watch. And I'm going, okay, God, why? Why should I keep watching this? Well, I'm driving 55 miles an hour, and I have a car on my right, car on my left.
Wow.
And I just got the feeling saying, you know, you're safe, you're fine. Keep your hands, you know, at, you know, steady motion. You know, when you need to move, I will get your attention. And that's what it felt like. And I was like, oh, okay. Cool. So I kept like looking up in the sky, looking at, you know, where, because I was scared because I don't know what that was going to happen. So I would just keep going back and forth. As I keep going, getting closer to this location or where it is in, you know, passing the road, it literally was doing this slow as possible. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, that's not a drone because drones have to have flashing lights. Mm-hmm. You know, the FAA, or is it FAA or FAA? Whatever. Yeah. They say that any kind of planes, any kind of moving things in the sky have to have a flashing light. Right. For the United States of America. kind of thing, or anywhere in the world. So I'm going, okay, so is this a blimp? Is this something else? I'm like, well, it has a shape, but it's more, this thing is not rounded. It has more of a point. So it's not a blimp. So I'm just taking this right off, cue here. So I'm getting closer to this thing, and it's almost right in the middle of the road. Like, I don't know, 300 feet, 400 feet.
Oh,
and it looked small, but it was high enough. So I'm like, okay, something's up here. And I'm keep watching it. And then something told me, remember the, 5 or 6 things that I can't remember the person told me. If you see a UFO, go down this list. Okay. And I went right down this list, which is basically, does it have wings? Does it have flashing lights? Does it have a stripe on this side of the plane? Has it propellers? Does it have a back wing? No.
Wow.
None of it was no. And I'm going, how is it flying? What's going on? Like, is a plane that's flying overhead and, dragging, that kind of thing. I'm like, this is stupid. I'm like, this thing is shiny and I can see it perfectly. Let's see here. I'll do a quick. If you can see that, it looked like an eyebrow. Okay, so it was pointy shaped, and I'm going, this is a little odd. It's silver and it's flying. And I'm thinking, okay, if I try to pull over, I'm gonna hit this car on my right, and I'm gonna cause a 30-pound car load. And I'm like, damn it. Like, I want to take over, pull over and take a photograph of this. By the time I got to the point of saying I want to pull over, I'm already almost past it, but I can still kind of like lean over and take a look. It's already on the right side of the road.
Holy shit.
But the thing is, when it got to the right side of the road, it kind of turned just a little bit, where I actually saw, this can't be a UFO. This can't be something that, and I'm like, I don't see no blinking lights. So what is it? And as I'm driving, getting to the toll booth, and I'm going, this is not right. This is just not clear enough of what's going on. I'm like, okay, I think it was like 10 minutes, 8 in the morning. I'm like, okay, my dad's up. I have to call and, ramble this off to him. And I told him A, B, C, D, E, like the whole thing. He goes, yep, I think you just saw like a teardrop, I think he called it.
Yeah.
Ship. And I'm going, over Albany? There's nothing in Albany.
No,
like, what? I'm like, what's in Albany to have this thing, flying through?
Albany.
He goes, oh, and I'm going, well, I saw something. He goes, all right. He goes, when you get, to the office, draw me that shape and, take a photo and send it to me. And he goes, yep, you saw a teardrop. And I'm going,
wow.
Okay. It's, it is what it is. It's like, I couldn't fight it, but it was there.
It makes sense with Albany. Sorry. It makes sense.
Yeah.
With all the mountains and stuff? Or?
I am convinced I saw some gnarly fucking creatures in that forest. I was driving one of the highways, like a dark
Albany?
Yeah. No, going up
a drunken guy coming through the woods.
Yeah, like this massive dark thing, to the point where the dude that was in my passenger seat that I had hired help, he literally started praying out of a Bible. Like, that's how scared he was of the thing we saw. And it was daylight. And then when we were driving past, you got to remember that, like, Albany is a huge hub for stuff, right? So you got a lot of businessmen, congressmen, all sorts of stuff going in and out of Albany. Plus, It's connected to Connecticut, has the place that builds all the military helicopters and machine weapons. So they have, I think, a train or something that connects between the two. So the triad of shit that goes on up there, plus all the, like, upstate New York, for a horror writer, it's by itself is enough. Then you see UFOs. I'm going to be looking up, left, right. I'm going to hire people to just sit in my backseat, look behind me. Like I'm not even really kidding. I saw shadows going across the road. Forget about it.
at that point, I just realized, I'm like, you can't always look up. So there's got to be a way to have something to view the sky as you drive. Because you got to look in front of you, got to look in your right, got to look in your left without getting in an accident. You know, I got lucky, I guess. My guide was like, dude, you got to see this. So I'm going to, you know, take care of you kind of thing. So if
Jesus took the wheel.
He's like, hey, well, look at the road before you get into an accident kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the only way I can think about it, you know, but it took me a while to start doing that research and just try to find, you know, the right dash cam. And, you know, there's still, I want to change it a little bit, but I hope, you know, I'm going to reach out to the company and say, look, I'll pay you like $30-$40 to make this little piece that goes to your attachment. Can you make this happen? You know, and
did you propose that?
Huh?
Did you propose that to the company?
I'm going to be shortly.
Dude,
yeah.
honestly, you should go to one of the libraries. Go to one of the libraries. They have those 3D printer things now. You won't even need.
That's the other thing too. If I knew someone that can do that.
Yo, all the libraries have them now. My Middle Country Public Library on Long Island got one. There's a bunch on Long Island. There's a bunch of, I mean, start looking into your libraries because a lot of them, they didn't know what to do with their money because they used to work for a library. Some of the money they spend because they can't say they didn't spend the budget. Like the library that I grew up near, they literally bought tiles from Italy to make their budget count. Like, but not kidding.
And they're sitting in a room?
Oh, seriously, but they also have 3D printers. So there's another one. I think it's in Sayville or Sachem. They have a 3D printer, and you could bring them anything you want, and they'll create it. And then you keep a copy of all of it. So yeah, I looked at the kid. I'm like, yo, he's like, yeah. I was like, okay, like that was the whole conversation for his boss. You can see the boss like, I don't get it. I'm like, oh man. So like, you can't buy bullets. Go to your library.
I might have to now.
Anyway. But, or, you know, 3D printers are not that expensive in the long run. And then you'd have the
I looked at a few.
They got that fucking thing. So that's my only thing. I like making you be able to keep it and be like, guys, look what I made off my 3D printer. Use hemp. There you go. Hemp plastic. Done. Save the planet.
Yeah, I mean, it's on my list. So I don't know if I want to invest in something that format because I had maybe 3 projects, but then it'd be like, okay, let's, I don't know, make a huge mask. What I'm going to do with this?
You could budget it out. Like you could say, you know, anybody need my assistance? I can make this for you. I have this piece of equipment. Because as a cake designer, there's a lot of people who request.
You do that too? That's awesome. Look at that. We both make cakes.
Oh, you do?
It's been a while, but yeah.
Oh, well, people need edible images, and for a while when I started out, I didn't have an edible printer, so there was somebody I knew that did have it, and I would just
Cookie Monster eating a printer.
I would just tell her what I needed, and it'd be like $10 a sheet, and I'd have what I needed for the cake. You know, I'd budget that into the price, so you could do that with your printer. So.
Or start out at the library, get one made there. Yeah. Especially like
I'd rather go like the easier route before I just jump into like, well, let's make this now.
Yeah. I actually bought like a vinyl maker so I could start doing that on the side just because, you know, we're stuck in all these like conditions. Like I don't have enough I'm doing.
Yeah. Just add it to the list.
Yeah, 2 charities, a film, 2 TV shows, and I make vinyl stuff now. I'm learning. Anyway, now I'll get a t-shirt printer. I'm just going to have everything for the company. It's wonderful. I'm not even kidding. But let's go back to you. So we promoted the show with you with a picture of Annabelle, and I thought let's talk about that for a second. Is that okay, Beth? Unless you had a better question. Otherwise,
no. That's where I'm going.
There we go. Good. All right. Did you see how big her eyes and excited she got? I love making this chick happy. It's so great being in front of her. It's so satisfying. She's like, yes, let's go there. I'm like, awesome. All right, Tim. So wow her so we get one of those amazing faces.
Wow her. Wow.
No,
don't feel pressured. It actually doesn't take much to wow me. Like
that's adorable.
Oh, come on. I like to work on it.
No, but so you also have been doing investigations for the paranormal and all that stuff. You have the Ouija boards back there.
Yeah.
Do you have a company name, or is it just you?
Well, I've been playing around with it, and in some ways with, going out with my father, and his main books is They Are Here.
Yeah.
People are recognizing me like with him doing his stuff, so I'm looking at it as maybe like They Are Here paranormal and UFOs.
Dude, that goes like together, because
or just They Are Here. I mean, they are.
I mean, they're both here.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
So,
They Are Here investigations by itself covers everything. I mean, whatever you decide. But yeah, go ahead.
A lot of times it's just me. So, I've gone out with a lot of friends, but if someone comes up and says, I have a personal private case, which I was doing last night when you messaged me. I was doing some research and talking to the client. So I've told him, like, it's just me. That's if I do it, it's just going to be me, or hopefully I have some friends that are out near your area that I can maybe team up with them and say, can you come out? You're in Long Island. It's gonna be like a 9
drive. I will scoop this bitch up, and we can just have her making terrified faces at cameras while you actually give information. And I'll be like, "There's a ghost. Let's talk." Still being honest.
So for you, when you do an okay, so like if someone if someone asks you to help them out, okay, what do you actually provide for them? What do you provide them? What do you
I try to go for research, see what is around the property, what's going on. I've talked, I would reach out to like the police, and if they are willing to help me in areas of, if there are murders around in that area, I don't need names, just say yes or no. It's kind of like I'm looking at it as the Dead Files. You got Steve and you got Amy. Amy does her thing and Steve does the research. But the few teams that I've been on, and that's what we've done. We would do the research, but I rather want to push it a little bit more, because what I see in them, it's like, okay, with the stuff that we've gone through on private cases, there's got to be something more about the land, about the people, about the areas that are we're going into. Is that being affected in this private case? And I told her, like, last night, I was like, I'm not going to ask you to pay me. If you give me money, I'm going to turn around and say, do something with it. I'm for free. This is what it is. If someone says, if you give me $22,000, which I've heard this stuff before, I'll come up and do whatever I can. No, this is a free, thing. We don't know everything. Even the psychics might know something, but it's not 100%.
It's a sin that some of those pull that price. I know who we're talking about. By the way, Jess, have you hired him yet for your property? You have no idea the motherfucking thing that she has on her property. I'm sorry.
It's on the property, and it comes and goes. And
I'll film it all.
And
look who's on. Hey, Chris.
Hi.
Chris Sanders. Hello.
So, so it comes and goes, but I was just wondering, like, do you help move it along? Do you help it cross over? Do you kind of make it come or go? Because what I was told by another person that cleans the cottages on the property, that it's like an unborn spirit that's just from this earth, the earth that we sit on right now. Say again?
It could be anything.
It could be anything. I mean, a psychic would, in so many ways, know.
Well, I was told that it was 3 different things, like you said.
Which it could be.
Right. So
she has a lake on her property, so there's stuff that happened with there. There was fires that burned down and people died on the property. So there's several different possibilities, Plus, she's in Pennsylvania, so some of that rural country has a lot of stories.
Yeah.
My opinion. So
as in like Gettysburg. Oh.
It's not as bad as Gettysburg.
Oh, okay.
Thank God. Because I think like every 5 feet, that it's crawling.
Yes.
Anyway, so do you like? I know you do this for free and whatnot. Do you do you push them along, or do you help them cross over, or do you just do it for research purposes and said, hey, listen, this is what I came up with, and then you give them suggestions on what they could do?
I will do whatever I can. With everybody that I know, I will reach out to whoever that would actually be the direction that needs to be done and say, look, I have this case. I need some help. I'm not fully trained to move these, spirits over.
Yeah.
I do have abilities. I have this, but I am not fully 100% trained to say, okay, spirit, but gone.
Somebody said that to me in passing. They were like, why don't you just help it along? I'm like, I'm not qualified to do this. Even if I looked it up, it's not like
Jess, that person don't talk to you anymore. But
I don't even think like anybody can do it. I think that it takes a special person to really know how to do it.
It takes a lot. I mean, there's people that will run out of energy because they're trying to use their energy to help this person or this thing to go. Sometimes it's, saying prayers, putting certain things around the house, I can't think of types of oils, types of stones, using, there's a list of things that people can, use to help spirits move along. And everybody, like I said, has their own different techniques and styles.
And I think it's great what Tim's saying also, Jess, just I have to interject that I like, by the way, that you say depending on each case, because, depending on what it is, if you just say holy water and garlic, like some will say, that's not going to fix whatever might be, let's say, attached to a lake that's one kind of whatever.
Right.
So the fact that he's not going, this is the only way of doing that, I think for whoever is listening and new, is a beautiful and something you should be looking out for. Like when they're like, this is the only way and it doesn't matter and this will work, it's almost like a scary idea versus let me see what's going on. Let me see what's up with the whole thing instead of confetti of just stuff at you, which I feel is.
I mean, if you watch like Dead Files, like 100%, like I love Amy to death, and I love her faces when things, throw in. I'm looking at her, I'm just laughing. I'm like, I love this girl.
Yes, that is the person I'm talking about. After the drawing, she's like, yes, that's what I saw. Every episode, it's the same.
I know. And I'm going, what? I want to see it.
I know.
Every case at the end is always different.
Yeah.
There's she would grab oil, she would grab this, she would grab this. Now she actually has a team that will come in and remove whatever's in that house.
And I've heard her say that it's taken like 6 months sometimes of rituals.
Yeah. It all depends on what it is.
There's some real high level stuff versus
say I'm not leaving. It could take that 6 months.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, it's rough.
When you say that, it's also dependent on what level of whatever it is, and people forget that as well. Like, sage might work, incense sage might work. If it's really low level, it's no big deal, let's say. And I'm just putting out
work and stuff like that. It's
But I've known people that lit sage, and literally the thing gave the person a heart attack, and they called me from the hospital afterwards, going, and I'm like, okay, remember when we said don't do sage because we were concerned it was high level? No. I'm being serious. Like this girl,
no, I know.
So I'm not.
That's a personal thing between
I wasn't even thinking about it. I swear to God, somebody I worked with a few years ago, and that's the only reason I was saying, like you said, oils or like black tourmaline or like onyx and depending or blah blah blah. There's lots of different stuff, but I feel like very often we'll see it in TV and movies and stuff. It's like power of Christ compels you, and here's some sage. Yeah. Everybody's fine, and they said the rosary, and we're good. And we're not saying like, hey, did you know some of the top levels look at you and go, like, yeah, we're not talking. I think that's one of the things that isn't talked about a lot in the paranormal field, maybe, and maybe you probably would know better because it's not really.
No, it really is because everybody has their own thing. That's number one. Everybody has their own thing. But I wish there was more knowledge of stating that what certain entities, demons, if you want to call it as, and say this will go, get rid of this. This will get rid of this. This will
right.
look at you and go, yeah, okay, bullshit, and walk away.
Yeah.
And go on and be a terror the next day later. There's not, because you can't. There's no research of having them sit down and go, okay, Mr. Demon, what is your thing to get rid? No, there's not.
Yeah. Okay, well, my name is this, and I really just like thyme and sage and peppermint. Okay, well, is that your name? I feel like when they're like, tell me your name, I'm like, are you going to look it up in an archive and a reference and go, he hates the color red. I'll wear red. Like, I think that's kind of the problem also, is it's like you said, I'm sorry to interject, it just popped into my head that like that part's not talked about enough, I think, as well. So you get too many people that are just kind of like, I have no idea what's going on, but la 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 la.
And I did sage and I did this, and guess what? Now it's pissed at me because it just threw a pot. Why'd you do that? Like it. I've seen, a couple cases that, I've done, and it's just people would, do this or do this, and it's like, why? Yeah. Did you have no knowledge of how to use sage correctly, but you did it anyhow.
And I think it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, probably stop for 2 days because it's going, what just happened?
They're like, I'm scared of that person.
So, I mean, it's so hard. That's the thing. Everybody, I look at it as I don't want to go into private cases. Don't want to, because
I don't.
You're playing with someone's house,
right.
Kind of thing. You leave, they live there,
right.
Kind of thing. I will do research, no problem, and I'll figure out who I need to, contact, or say, look, I need help, or can you take this case over because you're more experienced than I am,
right?
Because it's someone's home,
right.
Again. You leave, they stay,
Yeah. And there are, I think that's another thing, by the way. I don't think it matters whether it's sage, palo santo, whether it's an incense oil, whatever it is, if you're not in the right mindset of what's going on and have the knowledge of what it is. And that's when it comes into the whole play of how many different things it could be and feeding off of or whatever versus what you're doing, which is why I also wanted to say again, I like that you'd say, okay, now that we know what this is, I'm going to hand it off to this shaman versus this priest. That kind of context, as well as, we don't always talk about the fact of like the higher levels, if you're not prepared in the right way to handle it, all they're going to do is harm you and yours and not help the situation in that house.
And that's when you want to go and speak to a demonologist who's been doing this for years.
Right.
And, full 100% involved and, know what their structure is in the religion,
right.
Because, I know like 3 or 4 priests that have been, ordained, and, a couple of those are actually real priests. And I'll be like one of those, and I'll sit there and go down the list and go, look, I need this, or can you, give me the right direction?
Right.
Because I can't do that. This is out of my league, or I'm bringing this home because I'm that type of person going, come with me, hurt me, don't leave them alone. And then, okay, I'm stupid. I brought it home.
Yeah, you get stuck with it. Oh, no.
Right. But, that's what's going to happen in paranormal.
Yeah.
You go out and invest these places. I've had 2 psychics that told me that I have like 20 things behind me. And I'm going, well, they're fine with me. They haven't bothered me. My senses, my abilities have not been flying through the roof. And they're like, well, I don't want to talk to you because you have this. Well, tell me to get rid of it then, because I want to talk to you. So it's like, I do my sage, I do my meditation, I wear my stones,
They're part of your team. You pull them over to your side. It's not that you have demons attacking you. Like, some of that stuff pisses me off because, like, I go off, and that's part of the show is watching me lose my temper sometimes. But the fact that right, and hey, Tim, you know me long enough. So, like, I wouldn't be talking to you if the people and things you have behind you weren't part of your army. Your army is of light. You went, I just owned you. You're my pet. You're my friend. You now realize we're working together for the right cause, and they're cool with it. Otherwise, they'd be hurting you and the people around you and be having issues. It's not like that. Otherwise, and I think that's the misconception is how many go, oh no, look at that thing. Because believe me, how many times I've heard that. And I'm like, he's nice. He's cool. He's not going to eat you. You know, that kind of thing.
He's just going to eat dinner.
Like we were on set one time and two of the girls have abilities and they're like, I'm like, oh, that thing down there, don't worry about it. That's mine. They're like, okay. Like, but you'll have psychics that'll be like, I can't talk to you. That thing behind you. I'm like, we bonded. We cool. We're working for the light now. It's good. That's the same thing with you. And I have to say it. Yeah, you got Ouija boards back there, but normally that's a big nope and I'd be done because, you know, usually that shows an indicator of yucky, unhealthy. But you have them up there in a completely different way and nothing's coming from them that's like, ew, yuck, bad, ah. Otherwise, we'd already know it by this face. This face would show it. All right.
All I can tell you, when I stage my apartment, I live like in a house that has 4 apartments. So I'll go up and down the stairs, make sure, you know, doors are open. That's, you know, kicking out. Then I'll end it up in my apartment and I go right through. And this right here, I mean, I pulled that or I took that out from a friend's house that was having issues. When she found that, things were happening in her house.
Yeah.
And I was like,
so the black one?
Yeah, that black thing right there.
That one's weird.
So
that one,
how do you like deactivate it? How do
that
you?
one I still have a weird feeling from because I've been staring at it. So maybe it's the reflection in the corner. I'm touching the screen.
It's like, a reflection. I mean, there's also 2 pictures too.
Yeah.
Well, how do you deactivate them? How do you make them? Because I feel threatened if that was in my house, but that could just be my head making that. Yeah. So how do you know? How do you know when they're non-threatening? With
the Ouija boards, I know the people who actually own them. So they say, well, I think they're okay. Okay, that's great. I will stage them. And I've had a rosary on that one for a while. And I've had a rosary, over here too. When I was putting this together, I actually, you know, basically every time I was holding it, I was like, you know, what's his name? Alexandria? Yeah, Alexandria. I was like, I kept talking to him and I was making sure, like, I am doing this for the right reason for you. You know, I want to show your medals. I want to show your rewards. And after I kept saying that to him, and I worked on it for like a week, you know, I made sure it knew that I was not going to do any harm. I was basically showing that you got these medals and the knife in there for some kind of respect in being in the army, being in service. Right. So as my father, you know, being in service, my brother being in service, my uncle being in service, all the friends that I know, and I'm like, look, this is what I want. This is what I'm trying to do for you. You know, I'm giving you respect and I'm giving you the dignity that you deserve because these should not be in a box.
Right.
Every once in a while, I'll feel something, you know, behind me. I don't know if it's the Ouija boards or not, but it doesn't, you know, attack me. It doesn't threaten me. It's just, you know, yep, I'm here. Kind of cool, you know.
I feel like it's one of your spirit guides or something. Like it's one of your, like, just checking in. All right, boss. Or like again, like.
I mean, before I had all this, I've had, you know, old man, which a friend of mine actually acknowledged me or acknowledged it that it was
old man.
It was an old man.
Okay.
And I'm going, okay, well, I noticed that something's around, but all right, it's an old guy. He comes in, goes out, but it's not relating to these Ouija boards at all. So, you know, other than that, I don't play with them because I've had 2 bad experiences with them when I was a kid. And I'm like, all right, I'm done. But now it's like, you know what? I want to give it respect. I want to give you know, because it's in the field, I just want to give respect and it's going to be there.
Here's my question. If you got one, let's say somebody brought one to you, said it was fine, but it definitely had like something bad attached. What do you do? What would you suggest to do?
First of all, I would probably take it and reach out to two of the people that I know and say, look, I have a Ouija board. I can send you pictures. They also have abilities. I've done it with, actually done it to the metals in the blade. I sent it to like Tim Shaw.
Okay.
And I was like, man, I know you've done this field. I've done some research. Can you tell me if there's something going on? He's like, well, something, but you're cool. You're fine. And, one of the Ouija boards, I did the same thing. He's like, it's fine. You're good. I was like, all right. So I reach out, completely. I have no problem doing that. If they don't want to answer me, I'll go to someone else.
What about like a newbie person? Do you have an advice for somebody who wound up
do the research?
Do the research. Okay.
Do the research. I mean, I'm not 100. I can tell you, I'm not 100% knowledge of what the Ouija boards do because I've had some weird experiences.
Me too. Yeah.
But it's all about research. There are 10 sayings, 10 things you have to do with the Ouija board. Okay. You got to make sure you have to say goodbye at the end. Yeah. You got to close that door. If you're sitting there playing it by yourself, you're SOL because you don't know. But from a beginner, follow those rules because those rules, as I understand, are set in stone.
Yeah, they're really important.
It's a communication board. It's the same thing with tarot cards. You pick them up, you start reading them. You have to say, all right, you're closing of your own self because it's a portal. It's the same thing when you go out paranormal. You got a recorder. That's communication. You're home listening to it. That's again communication. So it's all about playing. Everybody will say, "Oh yeah, I do it," and I'm looking at them going, "No, you don't," because it's how your face just reacted to me. There's times I don't. I'll admit it because I know what the location was. I've heard the conversation at least 3 different times now. So I can sit there and just tune out the conversation, just listen to the background, and see if something comes through. I say my prayers. I do my meditation. I've learned to wear my crystals more and more and more. They just keep adding up.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I'm happy I have a bra. That's where all the crystals go. Guys can't do that. They have to figure out pockets or boxer shorts or something. Sorry.
So what was to maybe round this out, is there an experience that you've had listening to a recording or doing some research on somebody's house that something actually really scared you? Is there a story about that?
Scared me. Well, that's where it gets me because I'm not really scared. I've chased after black shadows. I've chased things that didn't make sense to me. And I've seen a shadow that kind of morphed. And I'm sitting there going, I'm not moving, but I'm watching this thing. Nothing has came up to me and scared the living daylights out of me. Mm-hmm. I've tried to do TV shows, to tell my story and explain the whole scenario. And they're like, oh, what frightened you? Nothing. Well, what do you mean? Nothing scares me. They're like, why? I'm like, I don't know. Nothing has really, made me shit my pants and made me run. Yes, I might not like bats in the dark. That happened, which I've had a bat sit there, going around in circles from me, but it bothered me because all I hear is, that noise. What the hell is that shit? That kind of thing.
They're so cute, though.
Yeah, great. But I haven't had anything that really bothered me yet.
All right, wait. Let's go to what was the biggest piece of quote unquote evidence you had where it was other people would say, "Oh shit," because you and I, we don't really have that reaction, but most people will have an "oh shit" factor to a story, which there's 1 or 2 that when you go, and then this happened, people go, "Oh my god, that's give us that."
A couple of them. there's one time that we're in this location, and it was just me and a psychic, and we're just doing, just questions.
Is it
and
a house or is it like abandoned? Was it a case or is it like abandoned?
It is the what's it called? Oh, just drew a blank.
Coke factory of men.
Yes.
Brothel.
I don't know. I can't remember. It'll probably hit me later.
Don't worry about it. Go ahead.
The show is over. Like, where is it? Exactly. And so we're just in this one little room, and I'm looking right down this hallway, which is blacker than black. So there was a stairs in front of me, and it just went a long hallway with doors on the side. Shaker Village. There you go.
There you go.
See, told you. And I'm just kept looking down this hallway, and I'm standing right directly with a door behind me. And the psychic was probably not even a little bit arm's length away from me. And I'm watching this blacker than black thing that's happening. And I'm going, what is this thing? And I'm sitting there trying to process this whole concept of it's already dark. Why is it blacker than black? What is this? It didn't, run at me. It didn't attack me. It was just weirdly like morphing, if you want to call it. Because it was just blacker than black.
Oh,
and it just kept moving in slow motion kind of thing to a corner, to a side of the doorway. And when it got to the doorway, like it didn't like fully do this kind of thing. It was kind of like slowly just blinking a little bit.
Meerkats. It was slightly little meerkats. I'm over here. I'm over here. Can you see me now?
Yeah.
You've been tracking me, motherfucker.
And they do the hokey pokey.
Yeah, right.
When they got to the doorway, all I saw this weird circle just slowly coming in and out of the doorway. And I'm going, fuck is this? This is something wrong. And I'm like, I went to my psychic. I'm like, just keep asking questions because there's something down this hallway. And I'm watching it. And he's like what? I'm like, I don't know. It's just weird figure. Like, I just see a circle now of maybe 5-6 minutes of just keep watching this thing. This circle changed in a different form. I literally saw horns. Like it was a circle with like points that were going up because it kind of like turned its head like this. Nice. So I actually saw like the horns coming, and I'm looking at this going, no,
Mr. Tumnus.
But as it was doing whatever it was doing, and me not knowing more of my abilities was happening, I was getting drained.
Oh, yeah.
But I was also telling it, all right, use my body, use my energy. Like, I see you down there. I want you to come out more because what you're doing now is boring. Give me something more. And
sounds like me just.
And as my energy was going down, 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 I start literally banging my head against the door, like doing this kind of thing. And I'm watching this because I'm thinking, okay, my energy is drained. I'm going to bang the crap out of my head and make sure it hurts and make sure my adrenaline starts pumping.
Smart.
So if I know something's going to come at me, my adrenaline's already there, and I know something's going to protect me because I know, I have to take 2 steps away and fall on my ass and go, ow, and this thing's not going to hit me.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have the hurt head and the bruised to keep that focus straight through because that's all I was focusing on. And the psychic even asked me a couple of times, he's like, you're right. I'm like, yep, I'm fine. I'm just doing this thing. And he's like, what? And I'm like, just keep going. Like, just don't stop. And I just went, I think probably the 10th, 15th time, and I went, ow, kind of thing. Yeah. He goes, you really want to stop? And I went, yeah, that one kind of hurt. I'm like, and he goes, all right, we're over. This is, we're going back. We're, ending. And I turned around and I said, you're staying here. You're not coming with us. You're done. This house is closed. We're not coming in. And we had a spirit box that just gave us like words. Mm-hmm. And it basically says, okay, see you next year. And we both looked at each other and went, No, we did not just say that.
Fuck yes.
And we just looked at each other and went, all right, we're out. And we picked up our shit and walked out. And we went in, told the team what happened. And he's like, you shit me. And I went, I wish I had a recorder and, had a photo of it. It actually says, see you next year.
Wow.
And, he just looked at both of us going, okay.
I wish it said see you next Tuesday. That would be fucking hilarious.
Which was funny. We were there, the following week because we actually really did almost 2.5 weeks of investigating that location. Because the Shaker Village is split up in multiple spots.
Right.
So we're hitting each location, as much as we can to get as what information from that location so we can give it back to the owner.
That's awesome.
But I mean, I've had, which is funny, we investigated a house that actually was a morgue that actually had the funeral home, but also had hotel rooms to stay up when the funeral was going on. So
I want to own this place.
Wow.
But the aha moment is the leader only had me listening to audio because he wanted me to get me, in that tone to listen to what I was like, all right, whatever. So I listened to my father's recorder and I can see him right down the hallway. I know what's there. There was a lot of, storage, a lot of tables, a lot of this, a lot of that. There was no animals down there with us. The animal was 3 floors up. We wouldn't hear the cat, the dog, whatever was up there. Nothing. So as I'm hearing this recorder, the first thing I went is, holy shit. And the leader's like, what? I went, where's the cat? He goes, what do you mean? I'm like, there's a meow on this recorder. And I'm sitting there going, oh shit, that's a fucking cool. Like, because there was no cat around.
Yeah.
And after I heard that, I went, Dad, there's no cat next to you, right? He goes, no. I went, you're shitting me. He goes, no. And I went, I just heard a cat meow on this recorder.
That is so cool.
And he just looked at you and went, let me hear that. That kind of, it was like, all right. Then I heard it again on another floor.
Wow.
But the cat, again, was 3 floors up.
Wow.
Locked up where the owner is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
it was
so
like a spirit cat. Spirit cat.
Or it was like an imprint.
Yeah,
of
probably.
The energy. Yeah.
But it was just like that just made me go, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
See, actually, didn't give you the whole acknowledgement of what's going on, but hearing something that you haven't heard before and nothing's around you, this is interesting. This really caught my eye.
Right.
That kind of thing. And that's when I went, shit, I can do this.
That's awesome. You should have brought catnip.
Yeah, right. Any other cool things from that morgue run?
Is it available for me to own? Because it would solve all problems. It has everything I need to handle my issues.
She's thinking about selling the location.
Oh, you just made my whole world. I'm going to have to figure. All right. I'm going to have to get off camera and talk about things. Moving right along.
I mean, I've actually reached out to her not long ago to actually investigate that location again.
Oh my God, I so want to go. I miss doing that stuff because, like, I did Buffalo City Terminal with a group when I was.
I want to go there. That
place, I got a picture of the dog. They were like, nobody's ever got a picture of the dog before, and it was like, so that was a cool moment. There's a folder of like paranormal, and then I went to another location that I'm not going to name because otherwise I get in trouble because they always are paying attention. And I got somebody like running down a hallway and slamming a door, and I'm like, oh shit, that was cool. Like,
oh wow. And
there was no vagrants in the building at the time. Like, you already, like, it was already checked out, that kind of thing. And the other one I love is Penhurst Asylum. Like, I wish I could just work there all year long.
Too, and I was hoping to try that this year.
That place is beautiful, and the children are so sweet. Like, when you walk across the bridge, like, I felt like I was holding hands because I used to teach for a living. So, like, I was always working with kids. So all of a sudden, I'm working an event. I'm standing now on the, like, walkway between the buildings, and all of a sudden, I feel like 2 little kids take my hand, one each hand, and I just start walking. I'm like, okay, children, like, and you hear a swing move, like, and one swing is moving, and Neil, who was working at the property, is like, there goes the children or something like that, joking around. And I'm like, I can't tell anybody. I feel like I have kids in my, like, holding my hands right now. This is so cool. Those buildings are amazing. And I always wanted to work like for security for them, just to be there all year long, you know, like,
my recorder be going on nonstop.
Right. I'm serious. Like, I have to buy one of those off-road trucks, and then I'll just be like, you don't have to pay me. Just let me work here, all right? Like, anywhere paranormal, let me just be. But the problem is the whole draining thing. Oh, my God, we've gone over time. All right, guys, we're going to have to wrap this up. Tim, will you come back on another time? We'll talk more about it.
Absolutely.
Yay! Now, how can people reach you and get a hold of you and see stuff about you? Give yourself a moment of promotion.
Well, right now it's just my Facebook. I'm not going to probably do a Facebook team and put my evidence up because I know people like to steal stuff and say it's theirs.
Yeah, no.
And sit and try to rip you apart.
Yeah.
And say, this is fake. This is,
Right, yeah.
I question people too, but, I do it because, it's scientific. You got to show me proof to make you believe kind of. That's just who I am.
Okay, so, Tim, you and I need to investigate Jess's place. What do you say? I'll bring the camera. You and I do some research. Jess will not have an issue with that property any longer between you and I. And then the worst that happens is I add somebody to the team that also could help kick its ass. What do you say?
No problem. Now, you said you live in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I'm in Broadheadsville. So
I'll be in Gettysburg hopefully in July.
I don't know how far Gettysburg is. I'm like in the real beginning
of
Pennsylvania.
We'll talk about this afterwards, though. Let's talk about this off air. All right, everybody. This has been wonderful. I just don't want to go over time. Thank you so much, Tim. This has been an incredible ride of information.
Yes. Thank you,
everybody, for joining Delve In. Please join us next Tuesday. We have a very interesting paranormal team coming up. Yes. We're excited. Next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join us, guys. Bye, everybody.
Bye.